And at the end of this week, we'll have the link for that available and we'll send it out to everyone. We'll also have it on on our website. If you would, if you're not going to be speaking, or if you're not speaking at the moment, if you could remain muted, it'll help us avoid unnecessary background noise. So that would be really helpful. One of the things when we're showing you videos, and there are going to be 3 today, you may want to switch your speaker view, which is up in the very upper right-hand corner, into speaker view versus gallery view. If you do speaker view, you'll have the opportunity to have the largest viewing window possible for the video. And then you can always switch it back. We're going to use the chat function for Q&A since there's so many of us, and we're really trying to keep our time to an hour or less, as we promised. If you have questions, please submit them through the chat box, which will be on the right. If you look at the bottom of your screen, if you haven't ever used this before, you'll see a little icon for chat. You click on that, chat box opens up. If you have a question, you just type it in, and you can have it for, if you do it for everyone, instead of just an individual person, then Bill and I will both be able to monitor those as quickly as possible as they're being asked. So we are going to be very deliberate about our timing. We'll have some Q&A after each of our guest speakers, and then again at the end. So Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you with that.
Thank you, Kathy. I'd like to first take a moment to thank everyone for taking time out of their workday, and the January 20th events, of course, have occupied a lot of our visitors' minds today as well. And taking this hour to spend with us on Zoom. This is the second Riecken Zoom we've had, and the reason we have these Zooms is because we can't get together and have lunches or have visits to Central America. The best we can do is a Zoom to meet, but we can also bring in visitors who normally would not be at our meetings to the Zoom, so that rather than have Bill or Paco or anyone talk about what's going on in the libraries, we can bring in people straight from the libraries or straight from the communities to discuss what is the situation on the ground. As Kathy said, we are going to keep this to 60 minutes. So we're going to move it along. I did want to thank all of our supporters and ongoing Friends of Riecken and our guests. Their help every year is amazing, and it makes all of our work possible. And what we'd like to do with the Zoom is to keep it as informal as possible and really have a discussion and have it very participatory. So please feel free to, there'll be plenty of moments for questions and discussion. And we'd really like to take the opportunity for our guests from Central America to know the people who really are the Friends of Riecken. And for the Friends of Riecken who are curious, this is your opportunity to meet the people in the communities and talk with them. These are 2 new guests, by the way, and Kathy mentioned we'll have 3 videos. Just as a side note, the Zooms have become very well known across the library network, and communities now want their videos to be in the Zooms. I know most of the people who support Riecken on an annual basis, and they've become very good friends over the years. But there is a good number of people on this video who are guests of people on the video, so I don't really know them. And just so they know who I am, I'm Bill Cartwright, and I'm the president of the Riecken Foundation, and I've been with Riecken since 2008. I'm very pleased that 2 former directors of Riecken are here with us from years back. It's good to see friendly faces. And with that, we'll begin. I just wanted to very, very briefly discuss the state of the libraries, where each quarter we report to the board, and board calls about where we are with the libraries. What's the overall health of the network? As we know, last year, 2 hurricanes hit the region. We had COVID pandemic, which is still raging strong down in Central America. We have elections in Honduras, and I can't think of much more to add to the mix to make our work with our communities more difficult. The shutdowns are ongoing. There's travel some days, travel not days. And where are the libraries right now? Physically is about 1/3 of the network. A little more than 1/3 is open part-time, as they depend mostly on the municipal rules. How has Riecken reacted to that? We certainly haven't said they're closed, we're not working. We've adapted with a whole series of online trainings, online conversations. As of October, we can have distant but in-person, or safely distant meetings or trainings, librarian trainings. We've developed curbside book deliveries, story hours, and other programs that are read from the library into a socially distant crowd outside of the library. So in other words, we've had to be creative. And this year, as we'll hear more, with COVID especially, the situation has not changed. And we will be as flexible and as resilient as our communities in bringing them programming. And we'll talk a little more about that with that Paco and I have worked with some other partners to bring in. I'll just give you one example. Rich Strock introduced me, and I know Paco knew this program. It's called Odilo in Latin America, which is books that can be checked out from the library online. It's not ideal to have them on cell phones or whatever devices these community members have. But we plan to do our youth clubs and our youth reading programs via this Odilo system, since the Odilo company opened an office in Guatemala this year. That said, we anticipate that this is the year of reopening the libraries, of really jump-starting the programming. And as we can work with the staff, getting closer and closer to the communities, using our safety protocols that we've developed to reopen libraries, we'll continue what programming in person we can. And we will use what online programming has worked. We'll continue using that as well as the cost saving. With that, I would like to begin today's session, rather than have me talk for the entire 60 minutes, with two videos. The first video is from the library in La Libertad. Now we have to remember these videos we're showing are library made, whether it's youth or the volunteer boards making them. This is the libraries themselves, not coached or scripted. They're saying in their own words, this is my town, this is my library. La Libertad in Guatemala is interesting because we think of indigenous communities as being Mayan or Mayan speaking, or Lenca, or one of the indigenous groups. This is a Garifuna community. They have their own language and their own Afro-Central American culture, and they're very proud of it. So this video will accent a little bit about that and then talk about the library. Paco, could you do a favor and start the first video? Thank you.
Yes, sure. Okay. Here we go.
Băitia celurăne tida lu tu basun libru to uovo. Ya Libertad Morales. Zavala. José Luis Marcial. Gunda tinalau garifu na lanu kuya. Luma luna rufu dahani. Ni nasiyon tida tu basun libru to uovo. Wagia tuwa besun libro to wo ya Morales. Arufu da hatiwa lun waliha luma programas lani furende con sum dirigia ayabe Morales. Mabugo.
Mi nombre es Eleni Eloísa. Marcos Castillo, y hace 8 años soy parte del voluntariado de la Biblioteca La Libertad, y es una experiencia muy bonita que he vivido con los niños, jóvenes y adultos.
Es Stephanie Linet López Alonso, y pues mi participación dentro de esta biblioteca es sobre el programa de estimulación oportuna de lectura dirigido a madres de familia y niños de 0 a 5 años, desarrollando en ellos los conocimientos significativos y el despertar de su creatividad.
Mi nombre es Jamie Beatriz Machero Salas, yo soy parte del proyecto Mentes Brillantes, chicas que leen son exitosas. el cual he estado en encuentros juveniles y he conocido varias culturas de varios departamentos. La admiro y respeto mucho.
Soy el Chapón Valdés y quiero hacer mis tareas. La gente que está aquí me trata bien.
Thank you, Paco.
Welcome.
Obviously, that film translated into Zoom lost a little bit of audio in there, but I think everyone got the idea of the library. I had a question, and it's from, where is the library located? It's actually located on the coast where most Riecken communities live. It's in Morales, Isabel in Guatemala. It's right on the coast. And again, a very heavily Garifuna program. If you'll notice in the video, that many libraries in Guatemala, early childhood development and the nutrition program which is developed there is pretty big. It's very important to the community there. What I'd like to mention about the library in Isabel is that last year, or 2019, early 2020, that library was recently re-equipped with new computers, books, and furniture. The mayor's office had helped rebuild some of the roof and some of the construction as well. So between the municipality and the offshore program in Riecken and Riecken itself with books, that community was re-equipped after years of not really participating in the program and really was a stellar library. The next video I'm sad to present is the effects of that same library we just saw in the video after Hurricane Edna. Paco, can you play that, please?
Yeah, sure. There we go.
De la tormenta tropical ETA a las 4 de la mañana nos avisaron que estaba inundada, estaba casi a la mitad de la biblioteca. Solo escuchaba comentarios que decían que la biblioteca pues ya no se miraba. Convocamos a la comunidad y nos acompañaron a ir a sacar lo que podíamos.
Fue triste porque no podía ir a ayudar porque yo también estaba en esa misma situación.
Los muebles quedaron destruidos, las mesas están inservibles. Cuando salimos de la biblioteca salimos casi llorando con los voluntarios porque pensamos que ya no se le iba a dar seguimiento a la biblioteca, ¿verdad? Veíamos todo perdido. Agradecerles a Unión Europea y a Firgua, ¿verdad? Por el apoyo que nos está brindando, ya que en este momento nosotros lo necesitamos.
Pues agradecerles infinitamente por la ayuda que nos están dando porque nos va a servir bastante.
El dinero que nos van a brindar será para el mobiliario de sillas y mesas y servirá para los usuarios de la comunidad.
Thank you, Paco. Obviously, that library went from a very vibrant institution in the community to virtually destroyed. A lot of the building, the floor, the electricity has to be rebuilt. Part of the roofing needs to be rebuilt. The hurricane was strong, 500 homes were lost. But that doesn't mean the library is going to stay like that. Through the European Union, Joe Cook of our own Friends of Riecken also supported in a large global giving fund campaign. Riecken has some materials to donate. Rieckens also bringing out a volunteer, a pro bono architect to see the building. And the American Library Association in Reforma, the Latino portion of the library, American Library Association, we're all donating books and materials to get that library up and running as soon as possible. I know the community themselves have raised several dollars on their own, and we're getting reports on the actual damage, and we'll work on getting that library up as quickly as possible. Thank you very much. We'll have time for questions on these videos after our first guest. And I'd like to introduce Valeska Soveda Castillo Mendez, who is a nurse and a nutritionist, and she happens to also be the president of the volunteer board of our library in Rancho Grande, Honduras. And I'd like to welcome Valeska, who will be talking with us about the health situation after the climate disasters and COVID, how it's hit the communities and how the library in Rancho Grande and the people of that town have reacted. Valeska, are you there? Translating today will be Jose Carlos from our team.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Es un placer compartir con ustedes. Mi nombre es Valeska Zoida Castillo Menéndez, presidenta de la Junta Directiva de la Biblioteca Riecken Rancho Grande.
My name is Valeska Zoida Castillo Menéndez, president of the Riecken Rancho Grande Library Board of Directors.
Rancho Grande es una comunidad ubicada en Esquías, departamento de Comayagua.
Rancho Grande is a community located in the municipality of Esquías, department of Comayagua.
Nuestra biblioteca fue fundada el 21 de julio del 2006. Ahora mismo cuenta con una asistencia anual de 38,113 visitas.
Our library was founded on July 21st to 200. Our library was founded on July 21st, 2006, and currently has an annual attendance of 38,113 visitors.
Se desarrollan los siguientes programas: Hora de Cuentos, Club de Lectores, Biblioteca Móvil, Estimulación Temprana a la Lectura.
The following programs are developed here: Story Time, Book Club, Mobile Library, Early Reading Stimulation.
Estos programas se realizan aún teniendo las limitaciones. Por ejemplo, no tenemos libros de investigación, entre otras.
These programs are carried out even though they have several limitations. For example, we don't have research books, among other restrictions.
Creemos que tendremos un área de tecnología que será de gran apoyo para todos los estudiantes, puesto que vivimos una emergencia mundial por la COVID-19.
We believe that we will have an area of technology for this year that will be of great support for all students, since we are living a war emergency because of the coronavirus 19.
En tal sentido, nuestra comunidad, ya que pertenece a una área rural, hemos tenido poca incidencia de casos y sin pérdidas humanas que lamentar.
In that sense, our community, in spite of being a rural area, has not had any human loss to regret.
En el municipio se encuentra un centro de triaje en el que se realizan pruebas rápidas de COVID-19.
In the municipality, there is a triage center in which rapid tests of coronavirus 19.
En el cual han sido atendidos 950 pacientes.
Attending 950 patients.
Realizando 299 pruebas rápidas, de las cuales 152 han dado resultados positivos.
Performing a total of 299 rapid tests and only 152 have been positive.
Pacientes que han sido trasladados a nivel hospitalario, hemos tenido 2.
Patients who have left have been transferred to hospital level, only 2.
Esto gracias en gran parte a la tecnología como medio de comunicación e información e implementación de protocolos de bioseguridad.
This is largely thanks to technology as a means of communication and information, in addition to proper implementation of biosecurity protocols.
Además cuenta con el CODEN, Comité de Emergencia Municipal.
We also have CODEN, which is a municipal emergency committee.
Es por ello que la Biblioteca Riecken debe ser un medio proporcionador de tecnología a sus visitantes y juntos poder sobrellevar los nuevos retos.
That is why the Riecken Library must be a means of providing technology and information to all its visitors, and together we can overcome new challenges.
Dicho lo anterior, gracias a todas aquellas personas que hacen posible la función de la Biblioteca Riecken Rancho Grande.
That say, thanks to all those who make the Riecken Rancho Grande Library possible.
De forma especial, daré gracias en nombre de los habitantes de Rancho Grande a todos los donantes que hacen posible su funcionamiento.
In particular, I would like to thank on behalf of the people of Rancho Grande, all the donors who make it possible.
Gracias por el espacio brindado. Saludes y éxitos. Dios le bendiga.
Thank you for the space you provide. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Valeska. Obviously, that was not Jose Carlos translating. I thought things changed quickly.
It's Valeska's niece.
That was Valeska's niece translating. Muchas gracias, Valeska. Realmente importante. What I'd like to tell everyone is when they talk about the need for technology, it's not just the library that connects the community to the volunteers. It's the technology that connects Rancho Grande to the rest of the country so that they can learn about COVID, learn about the tests, and even get their test results. Rancho Grande has the same computers they've had since they were inaugurated many years ago. This year, Rancho Grande is going to get a whole new set of technology across the board, and that is thank you to the OSHA program. They've been waiting, y han sido pacientes para la tecnología nueva. Las personas de Rancho Grande y lo merecen la tecnología que ahorita viene. I'm just telling them that they've been very patient and they've tried to replace the technology on their own, but fortunately the OSHA program will be able to provide the new computers and the meeting room equipment that they will need. Right now, I'd like to open it up just a couple of questions, and we'll have a lot bigger space for questions at the end of the period. Does anyone have any questions for Valeska? Anyone have any questions at all? Paco?
No.
Karen, Meredith, anything?
I have a question.
Right.
How available is Wi-Fi in their region of the country? Like, is Wi-Fi maybe available to outside of the library that might be a part of what the government might provide, or is it, do you have to pay for it? I'm wondering.
Valeska, la pregunta, si Internet, la conectividad está disponible en su comunidad y si llega el Internet hasta fuera de la biblioteca y si es una cosa que el gobierno paga para ustedes.
Nosotros tenemos un acuerdo con la municipalidad que al llegar el proyecto de tecnología, ellos van a proporcionarnos el el internet. Actualmente no contamos con internet, pero ellos hemos hecho un acuerdo con ellos que al llegar el proyecto, ellos nos lo van a facilitar.
Valeska says, just so you know, the answer is, oh, I'm sorry, you have a translator. I'll answer this one. That currently the library does not have internet, and that they have an agreement via the ASHA program. Part of Riecken's agreement with the communities is they get their mayors to pay for internet if they get the technology program. So the mayor has agreed that once the computers arrive, he will pay for internet as his portion of the ASHA project. Even though that's not an official part of the project with the government, the AID and the US government, it certainly is a Riecken part of the project with the communities and the mayors. So, and to answer your question, the national government does not pay internet even for its own schools in most cases. So our libraries, even though we have an agreement with the national government that our schools should be treated at the same level as a local school, our libraries are on the same level as a school. If the schools don't have internet, we certainly do not get it. So our arrangements with the local municipalities have been far more successful than any national program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? We have time for one more question. Anyone have a question?
Bill, it might be a good idea if you could explain what the ASHA program is, because I think many of the people here don't know what the acronym stands for.
All right, very briefly, Riecken has had a relationship with the American in Schools and Hospitals Abroad program, which was formerly an independent congressional program and is now a part of USAID. And this program funds durable commodities, as they call them, furniture, books, computers, machinery, or construction. And we've been very fortunate to we struck up a relationship with the members of ASHA and have been participating. This year, we are expecting to buy 30 communities in Honduras, new computers, new photocopy machines, new laptops, and new meeting room equipment because they have community meeting rooms. All right. So if there's no more questions at this time, Valeska, muchísimas gracias por acompañar. Agradecemos su tiempo y sus comentarios. Thank you, Valeska, for coming. We really appreciate your time and your comments. If Valeska can stay till the end, we will have more time for more comments. I think people are starting to write chat comments in now. No sé si Valeska puede quedar hasta el final o si tiene que ir, entendemos. If you have to go, Valeska, we totally.
Vamos a ser partícipes de la reunión.
Okay.
Muchas gracias.
Very good. Okay, that said, we have one little thing so that people can really understand the context of the town that Valeska comes from, Rancho Grande, and her being the president of the volunteer board and a medical professional from her community. We have a small video from Rancho Grande just to show you the town that she works in and her hometown where she grew up. Paco, can you play Rancho Grande?
Okay, sure.
Lindo rinconcito de Honduras, Rancho Grande, ubicada en Esquías, Comayagua. Tierra prodigiosa y con los brazos abiertos. A tan solo 46 kilómetros de la ciudad de Comayagua. Tiene aproximadamente 3.500 habitantes y más de 1.000 viviendas. En el área educativa, nuestra aldea cuenta con 4 jardines de niños, 2 escuelas, un centro de educación básica, un instituto anexo. En tal sentido, con más de 800 alumnos. También cuenta con la biblioteca Riecken Rancho Grande, que es apoyo incondicional para toda la población estudiantil de nuestra aldea y lugares circunvecinos, pero especialmente para los niños en temprana edad, donde se les enseña lo básico de las destrezas a través de juegos, ejercicios, técnicas, materiales didácticos y actividades como factor fundamental en el desarrollo infantil.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Kelly Martínez, soy la encargada de la Biblioteca Pública Riecken, Rancho Grande, del municipio de Espinas. Ahora les voy a presentar los espacios de la biblioteca. Estamos en el rincón infantil, donde los niños pueden entretenerse y fomentar la lectura. En el área de exploración temática, donde el tema principal son los cuentos infantiles, los libros infantiles. Aquí tenemos el aula de estimulación temprana. Aquí es donde los niños reciben clases de estimulación temprana a la lectura.
Lo que des a los niños lo darán a la sociedad. Una frase célebre de Karl Menninger. Nosotros, orgullosos de aportar nuestro granito de arena para fortalecer la educación y orgullosos de pertenecer a este bello lugar con gente laboriosa dedicada al rubro del café y orgullosos realmente de ser Rancho Grande.
Thank you, Paco.
Welcome.
Just one quick mention that this is also another town that really has an entire area of the library dedicated to early childhood development. And that's basically a large coffee town located near the city of Comayagua. I very much appreciate the video. And we have to remember, we can coach some of the communities on videos for length and for presentations, but these are their words and this is what they want to say for their libraries. And we think that they do a wonderful job. And I know it actually takes an effort for them to do editing with some of the apps. And I mean, some of these videos are made on an iPhone, for example. For our next visitor, she's a physician. She's doing her last practice in Flor del Campo in Tegucigalpa, where we happen to have a large library in Flor del Campo. I'd like to introduce Susie Vanessa Reyes Figueroa, and translating for her will be one of our staff, Jose Carlos or Rocio. And again, Susie works at Tegucigalpa, one of the hardest hit areas of COVID, and certainly one of the more difficult areas of the country to work. And I'm sure she'll have some comments for her. There'll also be a question and answer session for Susie after her presentation. Susie, are you on? ¿Es Susie on, Paco? ¿Está Susie?
Sí, estaba, la vi hace 2 minutos. Ahí.
Hola, es que se quedó.
Hola,
está fallando el internet, perdón. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es, muy bien. Mi nombre es Susi. Esta tarde compartiré con ustedes mi experiencia trabajando en primera línea durante la pandemia como médico asistencial en el Centro de Salud Flor del Campo, que es una área urbana de Comayagüela, aquí en el departamento de Francisco Morazán.
Good afternoon, my name is Susi Reyes. In this time, I will share with you my experience working on the front line during the pandemic as an attending physician in a Flor del Campo health center in an urban area of Comayagüela Francisco Morazán.
Okay. En el año 2020 fue un local original en Wuhan y luego se declaró pandemia.
The years 2020 was difficult with the arrival of a new virus in Wuhan that was later declared a pandemic.
Siendo altamente contagioso, nuevo, donde la comunidad científica y médica del mundo entero estaba sorprendida por su capacidad de dañar la salud del ser humano.
Highly contagious, new, where the scientific and medical community around the world was surprised by its ability to harm human health.
Nos tomó por sorpresa. Cobró miles de vidas humanas civiles como personal de salud, pero de a poco se ha investigado y se ha descubierto cómo actúa una vez que se aloja en el cuerpo humano. Para mejorar, esto para mejorar el tratamiento, disminuir la mortalidad del COVID-19 en personas tanto de riesgo como la población en general.
It took us by surprise. It claimed 1,000 human lives as health personnel, but little by little, it has been investigated and discovered how it's on in this launch in the body to improve treatment and reduce mortality from COVID-19 in people of risk in all people that country.
En Honduras llegó el marzo del 2020. Hubo incertidumbre por falta de información del alcance de este virus. Existía miedo, ansiedad al contagio. Por la Secretaría de Salud se implementó lineamientos de manejo para pacientes, también para cadáveres, y el gobierno tomó medidas de cuarentena para evitar la propagación de este.
In Honduras, it arrived March 2020. There was uncertainty due to lack of information on the scope of the virus. There was fears and anxiety of contagion. The Health Secretary implement guidelines for the handling of patients and corpse, and the government took quarantine measures to avoid the spread of this virus.
En el centro de salud donde ejercí, al inicio, con incertidumbre, esperamos noticias que si había llegado al país, qué medidas se tomarían. Al inicio no había equipo de protección personal, incluso transporte y las medidas de cómo abordar a los pacientes y las medidas de prevención no estaban claras.
In the health center where I work, at first with uncertainty, waiting for news of whether the virus had arrived in the country, what measures will be taken. At the beginning, there was no personal protective equipment, transport, and clear boarding and prevention measures.
Pero se implementó un protocolo para atención y prevención y se salió adelante. Se dividieron las clínicas con el referente al centro de salud. Se dividieron las clínicas con el apropiado equipo de protección y manejo terapéutico. Se captaban los pacientes positivos por clínica, o sea, por síntomas. Se informaba a la región sanitaria para que ellos enviaran un microbiólogo a realizar pruebas de detección. y luego se daba seguimiento por teléfono y se enviaba su medicamento y cuando ameritaba referencia a algún hospital.
But a protocol for care and prevention was implemented and progress was made. The clinics were divided with the appropriate protective equipment and therapeutic management. The positive patients were captured with symptoms. The whole region was informed so that they could send a microbiologist to carry out detection, test, and follow-up was given by phone, and their medication was sent and when it was needed, he was referring to the hospital.
Al pasar los meses se iniciaron centros de triaje, a donde enviamos pacientes para realizar pruebas. Actualmente, de 36.914 habitantes, que es el área de influencia del Centro de Salud Flor del Campo, hay 680 casos positivos por COVID hasta el 30 de diciembre, sin contar los primeros de enero. Fallecidos, 21, y recuperados, 268 y contando. Actualmente se llega a un promedio de 4 pacientes diarios con sospecha de COVID, es decir, con síntomas.
As the month pace, triages began where we send patients for tests. Currently, of 36,914 inhabitants, that is the entire of area of influence on the Flor de Campo Health Center. There are 680 COVID cases as of December 30. Deceased 21 and recovered 288 cases. Currently, an average of four daily cases arrive with suspected COVID, that is with symptoms.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Susi. Y thank you, Jose
No he
Carlos.
terminado.
Pardon?
Oh.
¿Perdón? No ha terminado todavía.
Oh.
¿Qué se me pegó?
La escuchamos, Susi.
Disculpen.
No.
Entonces, se tiene expectativa acerca de que llegue la vacuna y que se puedan desarrollar fármacos para prevención y un manejo más efectivo. Muchas gracias por invitarme y dejarme compartir esto con ustedes.
Ahora sí, muchas gracias, Susi. Y realmente le agradecemos.
De nada.
Y información. Susie is talking mostly about her health clinic, which is in Flor del Campo area, and also it's important to know that you expand that out to the rest of the city, and the same symptoms occur with limited information, lack of testing equipment, and lack of medicines, and hospitals or her health center and other hospitals at capacity. So I want to thank Susie also because she helped Riecken with its opening protocols. And despite the greatest of security efforts on all parts to stay safe and stay distant, you know, even Riecken has had problems with infection. So it's something that's a very serious issue. I think we have a couple of minutes for questions for Susie and for Valeska even. I have one question I've received is, Susie or Valeska, ¿cuándo viene la vacuna? Honduras. And I just asked, when do they think the vaccine is arriving?
Ok, pues según la información que se maneja, la vacuna debería llegar en febrero. Se va a recibir una donación de más de 26,000, 60,000 vacunas, pero todavía no nos han avisado, solo se sabe que la vacuna va a llegar a partir de febrero y que los empleados de primera línea van a tener prioridad, luego los adultos mayores, pero hasta ahí es la información que se maneja.
Thank you. What she's saying is that they have limited information. It's not very publicized in the regular way, but the information they are receiving from the government is sometime in February, and I know that's the same as in Guatemala, February or March. They expect some vaccines to begin to arrive in the countries, and of course they will go through World Health Organization categories of who is eligible for the vaccine first. Any other questions? Another question. That's for Guatemala. I'll ask this, but I'll ask in Honduras, are the hospitals suffering full capacity? That's another question that arrived for Guatemala, but I can ask that for Honduras. Because I know in Guatemala, many hospitals are beyond full. En Honduras, los hospitales están llenos o hay capacidad de emergencia todavía.
Pues después de las fiestas de diciembre, hemos tenido picos en Francisco Morazán y Puerto Cortés. Entonces, los hospitales están como a su cupo límite. Pero es porque tal vez las salas no son muy grandes.
Okay.
Entonces, su capacidad es mínima. Entonces, ahorita están a su máxima capacidad.
Okay, what Susie says is the hospitals were somewhat full, but after the December fiestas, the parties, the celebrations in December, that the hospitals were very full. And she says part of that might be that, yes, they're full, but also the hospitals have very limited capacity to begin with. But yes, after December holidays, just like here, they're affected. I do want to notice that despite the restrictions and travel restrictions, Paco is telling me now that about 45 of the libraries, which has increased from last year, are open at least on a part-time basis. And it all depends on the municipal rules. Any other questions? I'll take a quick look. Any questions from the visitors? Anyone have anything to say? Okay, I have a question for Valeska. Valeska, I'm going to ask Valeska, are the library in Rancho Grande serving as a deposit still for food, medicines, and goods as it is in many other communities? I know most of the libraries are still working whenever materials are available to be storehouses and to help with lists to deliver their goods. And Valeska, being a nurse, she would certainly know the process. Valeska, en Rancho Grande están sirviendo la biblioteca como depósito de ropa, medicinas y están ayudando la biblioteca o la comunidad con entregar materiales. Y si están haciéndolo, ¿de dónde vienen?
Bueno, actualmente sí está sirviendo para acopio, ¿verdad? De kits de bioseguridad, los cuales se les están dando a los productores de café. Como ahorita estamos en cosecha, entonces se les están entregando para que ellos puedan entregarle a los recolectores.
Okay. ¿Y el apoyo de dónde viene?
Los fondos.
Sí, los materiales que llegan conmigo.
Bueno, esto es, las compras las hace el Instituto del café, los encargados, pero sí son fondos del café, porque este es un apoyo especialmente que va, pero solo a los caficultores, no a toda la población.
Okay. Valeska is saying that Rancho Grande is still working as a deposit for materials and other goods. Right now, the coffee cooperative is delivering aid of various sorts, but only to coffee producers. Gracias, Valeska. A question from Liz Davila from the board. I think we have a few more minutes still. Susi y a Valeska, las caravanas están de gran publicidad en Honduras que acaba de salir y se han salido de sus áreas de trabajo o de vivir.
Bueno, yo considero que las caravanas más que todo son como el área urbana. O sea, hay más personas que se van y lo que se maneja es que, bueno, por la pandemia y por lo de los huracanes, ¿verdad? Pero también por los problemas de gobierno.
Susi?
La situación de desempleo luego de la pandemia aumentó. Entonces, sumado a eso, los huracanes Eta y Iota dejaron devastada la parte del norte del país. Entonces, muchas personas han decidido emprender esa caminata hacia Estados Unidos buscando un mejor futuro y medios de empleo. Es más que todo en zona, es más en área rural y más personas que no tienen empleo o tienen familias muy numerosas y no tienen pues capacidad para sostenerlas.
Muchas gracias. What they were talking about the caravan, it's clear that neither of them really approves of the caravans and leaving. They do definitely say that caravan is, the latest caravan at least, is a result of COVID, the hurricane damage, certainly the damaged economy that the COVID close downs have come. Valeska also mentions that there's reasons due to the government inaction that people have left. Both of them certainly don't seem to have a very positive opinion of the caravans. I think there's some other comments and I can answer those on my own. Yo creo que ahí vamos a terminar, vamos a tener una sesión con el cerrar, la cierra. But before we have some final words to close up, I'd like to thank our guests, Valeska and Susie, for coming. We very much appreciate your time and we appreciate your information. There are some other questions and I will be circling back to answer those questions individually. Pero muchas gracias por su tiempo y compartir. Realmente agradecemos su información y realmente porque viene directamente de la región. The information they provide is in the region and oftentimes unavailable. And with that, I'd like to see if Jim Wilson is available and he could help summarize or wrap up our session for us. Jim?
Thank you, Bill. I'm not on mute, right?
No, you're talking. You're live.
Okay, good. Hey, first, I want to thank everyone who contributed to this amazing hour Zoom call. It was truly inspirational to hear the various stories from the videos and the speakers. And you know, hearing about what the communities are, how they're dealing with COVID-19 is a reminder that we truly are one world. We're all in this together. And one of the reasons why important is it's a great example of how we can work together. We have people on this call from communities in Guatemala and Honduras, but also communities throughout the US. And we're all participating together and we're all playing our role. The library communities are remarkable for the local leadership and their resilience. We have a wonderful Riecken staff led by Bill and Paco Arcade. Paco, it's nice seeing you with your headphones on. You look like you were really in charge of the Zoom call, so thank you.
Very millennial.
Another important participant that you heard about is Asha. We've got a fantastic partnership with them. And then I want to personally thank all the people who provide financial support to the Riecken Library effort. Many of them are on the call, and many of them have been contributing for 12 years. I mean, that's remarkable consistency. It's what makes, I think, Riecken so effective, that this organization is not just here for a few years, but it's long lasting. And I just want to thank all of you for making Riecken successful, and we look forward to another important year. In fact, 2021 could be a particularly important year as things begin to open up and more products from Asha arrive, and we actually begin some building programs. So very exciting time. So thank you all.
Thank you, Jim. And again, I reiterate to all of our friends of Riecken who have been with us for so long, and to our new guests today, thank you for coming. And Paco, make sure, or Giovanni, please make sure that our guests know that we're very thankful for all of their time and visiting with us. I know it's a work day there as well. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And I will follow up with any questions that are left here. I appreciate everyone's time. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Wonderful to see everyone.
Very good seeing you.
Thank you. Very, very inspiring.
Thank you.
Hi, Susan.
Yeah, I feel like none of us original ones want to leave.
I know we need a little reunion.
No one has to leave.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi.
That's for you.
Oh. I only realized late in the call that there was a whole nother screen of people. I'm like, oh, there's more. It's so great to see everyone.
Bill, how many were on the call at the end? How many were on the call?
About 45 people were coming in still. I had some messages from some people that were coming in late. So it's about 45 at its maximum. I thought there'd be about 50, but I think it went very well.
I have about 35 excluding board members and staff. So
that's excellent.
And visitors.
And we ended on time. That was amazing. I mean, this is sort of the after party here, but we did end the program on time. That an amazing amount of material was covered in 60 minutes.
That was good, and I've learned some things for the next Zoom. But Jim, this is Meredith and
Karen.
There you are. I didn't first line. I can only see a certain bar. They're past directors of Riecken. Just as I was entering, they were leaving, and they'd been with Riecken from the 2000 period to the 2005 and 6. So
yeah, we took over as soon as Alan got Sulaco started, and then we took over for all the rest of them until for like 5 years, and then you guys like exploded it. So thank you.
No, you guys set the foundation. It's good to see you too.
Yeah, I think I actually went to the La Libertad inauguration. Like format. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's
it's a very far library. It's Caribbean. You must have. It's the only Caribbean one. Rio Blanco is down there too, though. But that's more like a banana plantation library.
Is that a really long mountainous? That's always muddy road to get there.
Well, that describes a lot of the library.
Well, that one. There's a road I picture. I was wondering if it was that one. Yeah. It's really amazing to see, Bill, just how much you've done since we've left. And we always worried, you know, from day one that these libraries would survive and continue. And so much of the model went into being a community project so that it wouldn't be something that relied on an outside effort. And I can't tell you how gratifying it is to see everything still going with 65 libraries and really being what we always intended, which was a community center, you know, now with COVID and just things that always come up, and that the computers are running and the internet is there when it can be. And it's just really congratulations, you know, for really keeping it going so strong and so vibrant. And I see on your website, even some of the same librarians like Israel.
Oh yeah.
Been there since almost 20 years. It's just unbelievable. So really fantastic and heartwarming to see.
If you believe me though, I didn't do it. We're here on the team, but there's only a few of us, and we have an expanded board, and the list of people on the call today have been very loyal supporters for many years, and we're just, you know, trying to make sure that they're comfortable and in as contact as possible with our communities, which are very far away, and we get very little news of Honduras except bad news in the United States, and it's a good opportunity. But you know, we just had our 20th anniversary at Riecken. So,
I think that Susan and I are the only ones on the call who remember that it was Meredith and Karen who actually invented what the Riecken libraries became. Because our idea was to try to make a library, see what happened, and then go back and fix it on the next. And so anyway, we got a nice library going. We had a very energetic elderly nun who was kind of the political boss of the town, and she made it happen. But it somehow didn't take off because it was our project, not the people's project. And it was Meredith and Karen who were the people who understood the community buy-in and community participation and community management and volunteering was what would really make these the most respected and popular institutions in their town and the most trusted, and they always have been there. So I want to salute our inventors.
Hey, Alan, I'm glad you stated that, because we really do, as a member of our current board, particularly appreciate the community ownership. And it's wonderful to see two of you who started all that. So I'm glad you could be with us today.
Yeah, thanks. That's such a nice way to put it. I mean, I just remember early on, like we visit communities and they're like, great, when do you give us a library? I'm like, and both of us are saying the same thing. It's like, well, you guys come up with half the money, come up with this, come up with that, do the plans. We'll see you in 6 months when we come back. They're like, okay, bye. And I mean, it took us to get San Juan La Laguna. It was like 2 years of visits like that before they finally like got it all together. And even then it took like another 2 years to build the thing. But yeah, it's neat to see that it's like once you find that model, you can really replicate it a lot easier than hand holding constantly.
We still have a handful of very special libraries.
It was a lot
I wanted to say a word about the films, Bill. I think no apologies were due. I think they were wonderful, and that they are made by the people in the community is evident, and that's what's really important. And they had very different styles, but they all spoke to the place they were from and were very much of that place. And if there's a way to encourage more of that, I mean, I know, you know, there are a lot of cell phones around, and you can make a movie with a cell phone. In fact, I'm guessing that these were made perhaps with cell phones, at least one of them.
I know 2 of them were made with an iPhone.
They were, yeah. Well, I think that's to be encouraged. I just think they're terrific.
I think we'll be seeing more videos. We do have some general, I would call it guidance on a video. For example, it's not so much that they speak quickly, it's that there's too much text to subtitle.
Yeah.
So it flows fast. So, I mean, just some small guidance, but you know, they're just wonderful. They just want to show people what they do. And
yeah, but they did. They actually showed it, and the visuals were just, you know, invaluable.
They obviously in several of the last videos we've seen, we see they found a way to get drones. So we've gotten some
That's
We've
amazing.
had, we have one from Riecken that is it starts with a very long drone zoom in of the town.
That was wild. Yeah.
You can tell when people are new drone owners. They have a tendency to overdo because it's just so exciting. And then you realize you don't have to use all the footage you got. But it's fun to see it.
All right. Well, I see some people have lasted out. I see Mike Farr is still online. And
We'll get a glass of wine and hang out.
Yeah, right.
so
Thanks so much for doing this. What a cool way to celebrate a long run.
There's nothing like a visit to the communities, and we had a nice visit practically planned. And it's hard to get the agendas of people who are supporters of Riecken all together to go. We had a nice trip planned, and then the end of the year hit, COVID hit, and this is just a very nice way to actually, again, rather than having lunch in California where the board now meets, having me explain it, let's have some community members explain it.
This is much better, and for many of us, we've had an opportunity to be truly inspired twice today.
Oh yes.
Once this morning, and then now this afternoon, a very special day.
Yeah. Yeah, when Meredith mentioned about going to the La Libertad inauguration, I thought, I haven't thought about the word inauguration so much as I have this week, and what a gratifying day.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I saw that when you picked the date, I was like, don't they know what's happening there?
No, it's funny because the original group, cadre, agreed to the day and the time via Doodle. That's how it was picked. I mean,
oh, funny.
Offered a variety, and this was the day that was picked.
We're very
fortunate. Jim pointed out, I sort of knew it was the inauguration, but I thought everything would happen in the morning. But then Jim pointed out, no, there's a list of activities, and we looked into it, and fortunately, the event didn't coincide with one of the major ones.
Perfect timing, because the party starts at 8:30 with all the performers.
I thought it was a very good inauguration. I thought it was going to be a little rough, but it was beautiful. It was
beautiful. Fantastic.
Happiest.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the country are very happy right now.
I think the solution, putting all the little flags out in the field there, I thought that was brilliant.
It was.
That was so cool.
Brilliant.
Really fantastic. I agree, because from the air, it looked amazing instead of looking like the sad, empty scene.
Yeah.
Just so clever. And the fact that it was a windy day, it was just like everyone was all excited, and you're like, oh, those are just flags.
It was really inspired, I thought. It was great.
Yeah.
I think we're being joined by someone who was at the very first inauguration 21 years ago. Is Fred Dessery here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Hi. I wanted to thank you for the invitation, and it's really a pleasure to see Rachel and Alan again, and to meet Bill and the rest of you. So thank you very much for everything that you all do.
No, thank you for joining us.
In Tegucigalpa in 1967. It was quite a year.
Wow.
Thank you very much for coming. And
while we're going back in time, I just wanted to say to Rachel, you probably don't recall, but I had an opportunity to meet you at an Amelin meeting at a marine facility.
I definitely remember.
Yeah, you were a speaker there. So that was just a few years ago, but it's good to see you again.
A couple years, yeah. I still am a customer.
Mike, are you on? Are you on?
Excuse me.
I said Rachel was in fact our company's very first non-experimental customer.
Yes, patient zero, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Zero. Wow, that's amazing.
I see Mike Farr is online. And Mike, are you still on the call? You might have clicked off. Okay.
He's on mute.
Hey, well, we're Pam and I are going to sign off. Wonderful seeing all of you, and great job to you, Bill, and to Kathy, and everyone else who made this possible. It went extremely well.
Thank you. I'm glad everyone enjoyed it.
Thank you, Bill.
I'm going to ring off too. Bye. It was so great. Thank you so much, Alan. Great to see you, and Susan also.
Yes, hi, Meredith.
I'll share that you always said you should always have flowers, fresh flowers, and I've always remembered that. So, lasting memories.
It's a nice thing to say. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Everyone, so nice to see you all.
Bye, Pam.
Bill and Jim. Bye.
Happy Inauguration Day.
Bye, Rachel. Bye, Alan.
Bye, Rachel.